Sorry, Mac, we got orders.
In the back for all that
Home office.
Okay. You mentioned that much of this was sparked by Freddie Gray. How are you considering the potential of gentrification and avoiding displacement of current residents?
So another very long-winded answer, but I think that, so I literally did a panel discussion in DC with a group called Women in Construction with 300 people talking about what is gentrification. And my point of view is that most people have their own sort of, discussion and idea what it is. And I have one way of looking at it. It comes from, I grew up in DC, and there's the Shaw neighborhood in DC. There's a guy named Derek Hydra who wrote a really great book about the tearing that down, and I've also read a ton of other stuff. But his fundamental point of that is gentrification is when you improve a neighborhood, but you don't offer products, goods, and services for the folks who live in the neighborhood. You're offering goods and services for folks who are coming into the neighborhood. So, as I said before, our point of view on the neighborhood has definitely changed over time, to the point that, to me, the market is the thing that we can preserve through the intervention of our city and our own money, as in all of our collective money, to preserve and maintain a market and merchants for folks who live here today. And that the rest of the project, which is effectively private sector, is doing a number of other things around that. So, I think it's important as we look at changing, improving a neighborhood. This is a super philosophical conversation that I'm actually happy to have with somebody, but it's something we don't take lightly, and we think a lot about it. In fact, we have little meetings within our own organization about that. Sophia's been in on that. We actually went to a meeting. She actually had to sit through my panel on gentrification with women in construction. I'm always open to have the conversation about it. But I do think that the fundamental thing, again, is the gentrification, the intervention for to ameliorate gentrification is that you have a city that has a will and willing to put money into maintaining, affordable housing and affordable retail and office, things like that. So that's my point of view.
All right, next question. How will this redevelopment create opportunity for community wealth buildings, such as providing priority to local residents for stalls or training and employment opportunities for residents?
Let's see. I'll refer to section 12A of what I've already said, interest, and based on this conversation that we're having as a sort of a secondary, coming out party and talking about it, will naturally, because of our reputation and the work that we do, and people now know the extent to which we are invested in this neighborhood, both emotionally and financially, that the homes in the neighborhood will already be worth more money as of like 3 o'clock or whatever time it is today. And we don't say that with any level of arrogance. It's just simply that's how the world works. And so, to the extent that there's home ownership, and then again, our point of view is that to the extent that we can create home ownership in this neighborhood, that's the best way to have a neighborhood that continues for a long period of time, and in a way that you pass the greatest level of value onto the homeowners themselves. So, yeah.
And I think that I have fairly strong feelings around the issue of gentrification, because I think we oftentimes spend way too much time being negative about the word gentrification and not focusing on what we need to do to balance that equation. So how do we empower residents that are already in the neighborhood to take advantage of whatever evolutionary changes are going to happen in a neighborhood? Because all neighborhoods evolve over time, and they change in that evolutionary process. But when we hear and talk about gentrification, one of the things I'm always amazed about, though, Because the single biggest impact around potential gentrification of the neighborhood is actually in the Poppleton neighborhood with the Lassate development. The Lassate development calls for 1,800 units in various high-rise buildings that are marketed with rents that are going to start at $2,200 a month.
I'll take four.
In Palm.
Exclusionary zone. So we have to do lots of things. I'm not sure the numbers are 100%.
Okay.
I'm gonna give, so you guys are going to walk the trainer, so he's got much more experience than I do around gentrification and also working within this community and this neighborhood. You guys own buildings around the corner from us, and do you have an opinion on some of these tougher questions around gentrification and equity and pushing, value onto folks who live here? So, you have some thoughts?
Sure.
Could we finish with these questions, then we get them off
That's
here?
the same question. I just don't want to answer all the questions.
Wait.
It doesn't make sense for me to answer.
Okay, next question.